Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I'm your host, Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew Cabral. What's up, man?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Oh, I don't know, man. It's just, living the life, living the life of an adult that just is always tired. But it's okay. It's all right. We're talking movies. Physical media is always around me. I love it. How about you, man? How you doing? I know you were just bragging before that you went and saw a certain artist.
I did
live this week.
I did. I saw Bob Dylan last Friday.
Son of a bitch.
The legendary Bob Dylan. Yeah, it was. I had bought the tickets 2 months ago when I first heard that he was coming through town. Not a lot of I wouldn't say big acts, but just like legendary people don't really come through here. At least too close. I mean, the venue was like 15 minutes from my house, hence why
the best.
Which was perfect. And get to see a legend that I've known kind of my whole life because my dad was always a big Bob Dylan fan. So I went with him, and he'd never seen him live, but he's been listening to him since cassette tapes.
Yeah.
I remember he had in the car when I was a kid. You know what I mean? If I could date myself. Exactly.
Yeah.
He has a Nobel Prize for literature because of his songwriting.
It's amazing.
Which was interesting because I always bring up Jeopardy on here oftentimes. He was Final Jeopardy answer a couple of weeks ago, and it had to do with the whole Nobel Prize thing. But yeah, I got to see him live. I don't go to a lot of concerts anymore. I've been to several, but I haven't been in years. I think the last concert I saw, oh my goodness, I don't remember the date, but it was Guns N' Roses at Gillette Stadium. And it was when they just got together, like Slash and Duff, and they kind of a reunion. It was the Not in Your Life tour, which went on forever. And I saw them live. I tell you, stadium performances are a lot different than indoor venues. The sound is different, the vibe is different. There's less people. This Bob Dylan show was like a 3,000 venue place. It was like a theater. A theater that they had
the best.
They have Broadway musicals and plays and stuff at. So super small, not a lot of people. I had great seats. And it was just cool to hear him. I didn't know any of the songs because all he plays are his new music. And that's one of the most unique things is every time you go see a concert, whether it be Bruce Springsteen, the Rolling Stones, the Who, whomever,
Leonard Skinner.
They always rely on their hits. You know what I mean? Because not a lot of them are producing new music. I know the Rolling Stones have a new album out, coincidentally. But no one is going to the Rolling Stones to hear their new music. They're going to hear the stuff from the 60s.
I'm sure, Bob Dylan, knows that people want to hear his hits, but
but he kind of doesn't care.
It's his stance. He's a very creative person, and he wants to keep creating. And so for him to make something and then not play it what's the point?
Because usually, you know how the way music and music touring goes. A band or an artist will put out an album and then they go and play that music on tour to promote the album. His tour is called the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour, and the album is called Rough and Rowdy Ways. There you go. That's where
not much thought put into that, but
you know what I mean. He took music from that. He took music from his newest album, which I think just came out. So it's just him doing whatever the heck he wants. He's in his 80s. He can do whatever he wants.
He gets people to his place just because he's Bob Dylan. It didn't matter what he plays, but
exactly. So it was a nice experience. Something I could check off the list that I've seen. A legend in concert.
What do you think of that Bob Dylan movie they made a while back ago? That I'm Not Here.
Oh, the Todd Haynes film?
Yeah. What do you like that?
I do like that movie a lot. I've had that DVD, I think, since 2007, 2008.
Yeah,
never put it on Blu-ray.
5 or 6 people played him. It was Heath Ledger played him.
Yeah,
Kate Blanchett played him.
Kate Blanchett. I think she was nominated for a Golden Globe or something for that.
Yeah.
I do like that movie. I do wish it had a Blu-ray release, at least here in the US. I don't know how it's looking overseas, but yeah, I think underrated movie. There's been a lot of documentaries about Bob Dylan. Scorsese did one for Netflix. The what's it called? The review. Let's see. They're not going to give it to me. Oh, Rolling Thunder Review, a Bob Dylan story by Martin Scorsese. Came out in 2019, available on Criterion. I keep seeing it at the sale, and I kind of want it.
Yeah,
Even though I can watch it online, you want the special features really for a Scorsese film.
yeah,
Of course, uh, yeah, there's been all kinds of Bob Dylan stuff over the years. He's been around since the '60s. I mean,
yeah.
goodness. I
He's been
remember
around a minute.
in I remember in a history class I was taking in college, the professor, an older gentleman, much older gentleman, he started playing The Times They Are Changing before the class started. Because I think we were covering like the 1960s or something. And it was kind of just like, the whole theme of changing of the time, changing of the mindset, the youth culture, revolution of the mind, and all that kind of stuff. Because of the whole Vietnam era and the hippies and all this kind of stuff. A lot of cultural stuff to do with Bob Dylan
Oh
in his
yeah,
music.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
But
yeah, yeah. And then I was gonna mention his somewhat apparent him not him himself, but Inside Llewyn Davis. They make a lot of reference to that time period. The changing
well,
of times in that movie.
yeah, what
And
is
he,
interesting about that movie is the Oscar Isaac character is very much a Bob Dylan-esque,
yeah,
singer-songwriter, folk music type of person, and he's trying to, like, make a career, like, right before, like, Bob Dylan becomes a hit.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, you know how sometimes some artists arrive too early,
yeah, yeah.
with certain trends and stuff, and then it just passes them
I
by.
think it's like what's his name, the comedian that they talk about. He's in Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, the male comedian that kind of
Oh, you're
mentors.
talking about
Um, shit.
I
Um,
must say, why am I saying Larry? It's not Larry. We're gonna get it eventually.
but yeah, he's like he's a comedian that pushed the boundaries really early. And then he you know, he would get put in jail for saying
Oh,
the thing.
Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce,
Yeah.
like later on, I think he's obviously way more appreciated now, but it's like, he was breaking ground early, and then people copied him and got way more popular than he ever
Yeah.
was,
Well,
you
yeah, he
know?
was definitely on the forefront of later comedians who probably took a lot of inspiration from him.
Yeah.
Specifically, um, comics in the '70s and '80s,
I would say like Richard Pryor and
yeah, like Richard Pryor and George Carlin and all of
yeah,
those guys probably took a lot from Lenny Bruce. Yeah, a lot of the stuff he was saying is tame compared to now, but he was being
sure.
arrested for it.
But
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
obviously,
mean, he was doing things he knew was putting, he was going to get in trouble for it. So just the fact that he knew he was going to get in trouble for it and he said it anyway, like that's what you do to change things. And he was,
that's very true.
but he didn't. I mean, he obviously he made a name for himself, but he didn't nearly get as successful as some of the others did.
Yeah, he's probably one of those artists which we've seen a lot of artists who become more well-known, more well-respected, more looked on favorably long after their passing.
Yeah, yeah.
Long after their passing, they're not really praised while they are alive. At least not as much as when after they've passed. That happens so
It happens a
often.
lot, and that was my comparison to Inside Llewyn Davis. But
Mm.
to the show, of
To the
course,
show, speaking of
the
movies.
beginning diatribe is over.
Right.
But here we are, chasing labels, spy number 124. Let's do it, man. Let's go through some announcements. We got a lot of one-offs, and then we got some Radiance to talk about, some Severin Black Friday single releases that have been getting dropped throughout the week. So
Things are on the horizon.
yes, so
You wanna hear next week is Thanksgiving.
I know, right?
I don't really believe that.
I think
I
we should
feel
just cancel the last episode of the month and just go into a food coma
I
for
just
like
I'm still, like, processing Halloween, and it's already the 13th of November.
I don't know. I work in grocery stores all the time. It's already Christmas, so
Yeah, yeah, they had Christmas stuff up before Halloween.
yeah, I know.
Um, I know many people have already decorated for Christmas,
I don't
they
do
just
that
skip over
until
it.
Black Friday. The day after Thanksgiving, I start the decorating for
You
Christmas.
know, I was hoping there would be some more since we're approaching Black Friday in a week and a half, I thought there'd be more sales going on right now in stores, specifically. No, no, none at all.
Everything's
None to be
online,
had.
buddy. Everything's online.
I guess that's true. So,
Yep.
let's get to some of these. So, first up, yeah, let me start with what my first tab I have up here is The British label's second run, which we've talked about a little bit, is putting out a 3 film or a 3 short film. Actually, no, they're 3 features plus short films. That's what it is.
Yeah.
A little box that they've got going here of Jerzy Skolimowski's films. And Jerzy Skolimowski is a director I've only became aware of within the last year, but he's been making movies since the 60s. And the reason why I just became aware of him is because he put out that movie EO that
Mm,
got a Janus contemporary release from Janus Films. It what I came to find out through the Barnes and Noble sale is that that does count in the Criterion sale at Barnes and Noble. So those editions from Janus Contemporary are 50% off, and so there can be found for about $15 a piece, which is pretty good.
pretty good.
Pretty good. I wanted to get EO, but of course, in usual fashion, the one copy they had, or both copies they had, the artwork inside of the case was a little askew. And that seems to be happening a lot with Criterion releases,
Mm.
where the artwork is either sticking out too much, or it's not like straight, or the part of it's torn or wrinkled, and I'm like, this is bothering the heck out of me. They still have 3 copies of Chilly Scenes of Winter. All of them have that issue, so it really bothers me.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's a machine or that's some dude. Like he's not.
It just seems to be the way they've been assembled at whatever factory they're coming
Yeah.
from, or wherever they're coming from. But back to Jerzy Skolimowski, like I said, he has been directing since the 60s, and this box set here has 3 of his films, plus some short films as well. So the 3 films are Walkover from 1965, Barrier from 1966, and Dialogue 204060 from 1968. Presented from new stunning 2K restorations, plus rarely seen short films, newly remastered in HD, released for the first time ever on Blu-ray. So I actually saw Walkover and Barrier. So Walkover is actually his second film ever. It came out, like I said, in 1966, and he is actually in the film. He stars in the film, and this is kind of like an autobiographical feature film. Runs about 77 minutes long, and it's kind of like his version of a French New Wave film. He's he's like an ex-boxer, an ex-young boxer who's also in a romance with this young girl, and it's kind of him just kind of real in life, really. Like he does some like low run boxing matches where they win like prizes of like a wristwatch or something. It was kind of odd,
Ooh.
but apparently he was like, he used to be like a legitimate boxer and stuff, and he's kind of just doing this now because he's returned back to his hometown, and he's reuniting with an old schoolmate who is this young woman, and they just kind of go around on these dates and walk and talk, and very much a before sunset esque, or even more so like a Breathless. If you
Mm.
think of like the way those 2 characters kind of walk and talk in that film, and their relationship and whatnot, and the conversations they have, things like that, very much reminded me of that. Perhaps he took inspiration from that at that time. But apparently there was a first film that was also kind of autobiographical with himself in the film as well. So you need kind of a little bit of context going into this film, but not too much to where you'll be lost. You kind of just go with it, really. But the second film, Barrier, is completely different in every way. It's they call it here an intoxicatingly inventive masterpiece about man and the modern world. Is ostensibly a boy meets girl romance, but emerges as a devastating allegory of contemporary Polish psyche, a film about national schizophrenia and the barrier between generations. Yes, it's very avant-garde. It's very metaphorical about um, political allegories and themes of living in Poland under the USSR, under the Soviet Union, and all of those things. It's told with not a solid plot. It's kind of a series of weird moments that are all like metaphorical stuff. Very much an art film. Very much an art film. And the last film here, Dialogue 204060, I did not get to see, but it's a film in 3 parts written by Slavic screenwriter Tibor Vishta, and directed by Skolimowski, with Czechoslovak directors Peter Solin and Zbigniew Brinch. Um, Yeah, which uses the same dialogue in three individual stories centering on characters of different generations. The identical lines take on unexpected new meanings in their different contexts in this bold experimental feature. Very cool, very
Cool.
cool. Yeah, and there's a couple of short films here: The Menacing Eye, A Little Hamlet, Your Money on Your Life. I think that's it. Yes. So yeah, nice little package here from Second Run. If you want to see more of Jerzy Skolimowski's stuff, which I'm definitely interested in after seeing EO. So that's why that kind of tickled my fancy.
You think maybe this is a future Criterion release as well?
Hmm.
Because of his EOs are on in Janus family, Criterion family, and I think there's been some
Crossover.
crossover with Second Run with Criterion as well. Being that one's a UK, one's an American label, so
Um, very much could be.
I
Now that you're saying that, and now you
yeah
put that idea in my head, um, it could really they could do that.
yeah this feels like a Criterion
It
release.
really does. I
Yeah.
don't know if they would. They could do a 3 film box because they've done that, and I've also noticed that some of their collections, they've just put them in like large, thick Criterion cases, as
Hmm.
opposed to more fancier constructed packaging. For they've done that for a couple of releases, so they could do that very much with this, with a similar release like this,
Yeah.
at least from my opinion. But yeah, let's move on from there. Where do you want to go to, Steven? You got any
We
place
got a
interesting here?
Cold Epics has got a movie called All Ladies Do It
All
on
right.
4K. It's coming on 4K. Description here. We got taking his inspiration from a true incident, erotic maestro Tito Brass drafts his delightful morality tale of a young couple's journey towards discovery through infidelity. Polio is thrilled that his wife, Deanna, is still sought after and takes delight in her tales of flirtatious and adventures. But when Diana goes too far with a French poet, Polio is overcome with raging jealousy. In a rampage, Diana lures everyone she can, and after a particularly rough house party, she returns to Polio, who accepts her unconditionally. Okay.
All right.
Sounds melodramatic, but I'm guessing this is going to be on the rated R side, based off of what I'm seeing in this image here. Yeah.
I was trying to think of why the name Tinto Brass sounded familiar to me. It's because he directed the movie Caligula.
So I was right. It's going to be very rated R.
Yeah, so if you know the reputation of Caligula, if you've seen the movie Caligula, you know
Yeah.
exactly what type of director
Yeah.
you're dealing with here.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, Malcolm McDowell has great stories about the making of that movie,
Yeah.
Caligula. Just look it up on YouTube. It's really funny stuff. But yeah, that sounds very, very interesting. Who did you say was putting this out?
Cult Epics.
Cold Epics. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we got you got a British label, Third Window Films. It's got a two film collection. You got Mad Cats from 2023 and River from 2023. These two releases, not a lot of features. Got some interviews with the filmmakers, but and audio commentary on Mad Cats. But otherwise, see, Mad Cats, Taika, a shiftless young man, sets off on a quest to find his missing brother, Moon. Teaming up with a quirky new friend and a edgy, mysterious young girl, Taika finds himself taking on a pack of vicious monster cats determined to execute a scrupulously page shift pet shop owner. Why are the monster cats after him? I can't wait to find out.
Why was his brother captured?
I don't know. I don't want to read the whole thing. I don't want to get. You don't have to read all of these things,
Okay.
but and then River, the 100-year-old Fujiya, stands in a quiet region of Kyoto. Mikoto is standing in front of a Kibun River at the back of the building when she is called back to work. But 2 minutes later, she finds herself back at the river again. The whole inn seems to be stuck in a time loop.
Let's do the time warp again, I
Time loop.
guess.
Yeah, I know, God. Time loop movies. Oh, that's a thing. Anything sounds interesting here to you?
They both sound very mysterious and very fascinating. I kind of want to watch both of these. I don't know a lot about Third Window Films. I don't know if we've talked about them before,
Oh,
have
of
we?
course we have. Yeah,
No.
they put out a lot of Asian cinema. There was a couple. I bought a couple of their releases. Not too long.
Coincidentally, they put out a British release of Top Knot Detective, which we talked about last week,
Yeah.
because that's getting a release through one of the partner labels from Vinegar Syndrome. Oh, they put out a Blu-ray of One Cut of the Dead.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes
We've
sense.
talked about them sparingly throughout our time, but yeah, they're not like a heavy drop. They don't put a heavy drop every once in a while. You see them drop a couple films, but I believe they primarily pay attention to the Asian cinema. But yeah, that's Third Window Films. I got here also something from Cohen Film Collection.
Oh, I clicked on the same tab as well. You read my mind.
Go for it.
Go for it. So we've got, the Cohen Media Group is putting out another one of their double features. This time it's two films directed by Lewis Gilbert. And this is The Sea Shall Not Have Them, and then Albert R.N. Albert R.N. actually has a different title, which is a lot better. But
Albert R.N. is a great title.
Yeah, Albert R.N. is not the best title I've ever heard in my life. It's got a much better title. So yeah, Break to Freedom is the other title. The original title is Albert R.N., but Break to Freedom is more apropos because it's a prison break movie a la The Great Escape, or even like not even a prison break movie. It's more like a Stalag 17 of just like life in a prison, more appropriately. But The Sea Shall Not Have Them is the first film. This is a World War II film. This is a World War II. Four Allied men struggle to survive in a lifeboat on the North Sea after their plane is shot down. One of the men carries secret documents that can save London from Nazi destruction. In a daring race against time, will their rescuers save them before Nazi U-boats, stormy seas, exposure, and enemy mined waters kill them? So yeah, this movie is kind of structured where you're concentrating on a ship and you're concentrating on people stranded at sea. There are these people who were in a plane that gets shot down, and they were transporting these like Nazi plan documents about I think some type of new bomber that they're developing or something like that. Military plans, whatever. And they're stranded in the ocean trying to survive. They weren't able to send out a distress signal enough time before they got shot down, so people really don't know where they are. And then there's this boat that's kind of just traveling around trying to find them, but they have their own issues that's going on in the boat. Like there's a fire on the boat. There's people like creating problems on the boat. There may be a spy amongst them for all they know. There's things like that happening. So you get the back and forth between these two groups of people they're trying to basically accomplish the same thing. So that's The Sea Shall Not Have Them. And then Albert R.N. or Break to Freedom. It takes place in a World War II POW camp. It says here, in this World War II drama based on true events, a group of British POWs suspect that there is a German spy in its midst after several escape attempts are foiled. Definitely directed by Lewis Gilbert and supported by Jack Asher's moody cinematography, Albert R.N. stands beside paragons of the genre such as Stalag 17 and The Great Escape. Kind of yes, but also kind of no, because I've heard of those two movies, but I haven't heard of this one until right now. So perhaps it doesn't quite stand next to them, but it is a similar premise. Life inside a POW camp, trying to escape, and the complications that go with that. They're both rather solid films starring really good actors, people like Michael Redgrave, Dirk Bogarde, a lot of good actors in here. And this is dubbed the classics of British cinema. That's kind of the collection in here. Yeah, a nice double feature. But moving on from there, I gotta do this, Steven.
Okay.
So you know how we say this? We say this all the time. Everybody apparently gets a Jess Franco film,
Shit.
and it looks like someone's got another one.
Damn it.
So, Full Moon Features got themselves a Jess Franco film in Voodoo Passion from 1977. And this is also another one of Jess Franco films that has an alternate title to it as well. So, it's not only called Voodoo Passion, it is called Call of the Blonde Goddess. And the title of the description of the film, rather, Susan arrives in Haiti to live with her husband Jack, who lives with a lesbian housekeeper, and Olga, a nymphomaniac platinum blonde. Introduced to her as Jack's sister, Susan begins to have nightmares about voodoo ceremonies and murder. Sounds like a time. Sounds like a Jess Franco time, really.
Mm.
So they, like I said, everybody's been putting out Jess Franco films lately. Kino getting in the Jess Franco game. Severin, of course, kind of kicked everything off. Blue Underground. Um, even Vinegar Syndrome, I think, has been doing some Jess Franco stuff. But yeah, this has the fully uncut version of the film, remastered from the original camera negative. Um, I like how the audio interview on here with Jess Franco himself is called Franco Bloody Franco.
Mm.
Amazing, amazing. But yeah, this is called Voodoo Passion. What a title!
Voodoo Passion.
This is from Full Moon Features, and this is coming out in February 6th, to be more accurate. So let's see. Let's get this one out of the way. So Raro Video is putting out a movie called Loaded Guns,
Okay.
which is starring Ursula Andress. Um, and this is a movie came out in 1975. This is, I believe, directed by Fernando De Leo. Um, and yes, it says action movie maestro Fernando De Leo directs another wildly entertaining crime film with loaded guns, starring incomparable Ursula Andress, who was in Doctor No. Yes, she was the Bond girl in Doctor No. I guess technically the first Bond girl, maybe not the first, but she was in the first Bond film. She was also in Casino Royale, but probably not the one everyone remembers. I think she was probably in the one in the 60s, I think. Andress plays Nora, a stewardess who finds herself in the center of a gang war in Naples. If anyone can undermine an ancient mob blood feud and come out on top, it's the effortlessly clever, sexy, and downright devious Nora. Played with verve by the stunning Andress, more of an action comedy than the gritty cop films DeLeo was known for, Loaded Gun shows that DeLeo was more than a one-trick pony. Yeah,
Huh.
I got to see this guy's stuff because I've heard about him for years and I've never seen any of his work. And I kind of want to see it. I like that kind of, you know, 60s and 70s Italian, gritty dramas or kind of cop dramas, action films, and all that kind of stuff. Uh, so yeah, this is coming out January 30th, and nothing really in the way of special features other than audio commentary with historian Rachel Nisbet. Um, and then another feature here called Fernando De Leo, parody of a genre.
All right.
Hmm?
All right. And I'm sure that's is that going coinciding with Radiance?
No, that's not a Radiance
It's
release.
just
That's just them straight up.
okay.
That's what I was wondering myself.
Yeah.
But I guess if you want to talk about Radiance now, we could, or if you want to wait.
Sure. No, it
Okay,
didn't matter to me.
okay. So
Let's
we've
do it.
got, yeah, let's do it. This is now, Steven, if memory serves, these are their February releases, right?
Yes, February batch here. We have 3 films, and we have 1966 Black Tight Killers, 1974's Alain Sanfran.
That's pretty good, Steven. I'm very
Oh,
proud of you.
thanks, man. I impress myself sometimes. I don't know. And then 1966, we have Man's Face Shall You Know Him. Okay,
All right,
so
yeah,
tell us what you know about these, because I know
So I
nothing
did
of
get to
these.
see all these, but all of these, not easy to find films as Radiant most Radiant stuff isn't. So Black Tie Killers, just this from quoting from their website, after wooing stewardess Yoriko, war photographer Hondo, um, sees her kidnapped by a team of deadly female assassins who use vinyl records as weapons. Investigating her whereabouts, Hondo uncovers a conspiracy to steal a buried stash of World War II era gold. Soon he must dodge go-go dancing ninjas and chewing gum bullets to save Yoriko, whose family secret is tied to the hidden treasure. Um, yeah, it's a weird movie, as you could imagine. There are ninja assassin women. There's exploding gum bullets, and it's a treasure hunt too. So you got like a an Indiana Jones type of film with when it comes to buried ancient treasure, and then you got like almost a spy spoof with a lot of the other elements that are in there as well. Um, the you know yeah, they're comparing it down here to it's a gaudy 1960s pop delight that ranks with the likes of Joseph Losey's Modesty Blaze and Mario Bava's Danger Diabolic. It kind of makes sense if you know those two films.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got this weird 60s like f- uh, pop feel to it as well. Rather entertaining movie. Um, yeah, super interesting. I enjoyed watching it. But yeah, once again, this is coming with quite a few special features. Um, yeah, I
Awesome.
do like Radiance's stuff. They never really let us down. At least not so much so
It's
far.
yeah, I mean, it's just such a his choices are so fascinating. Things I've never heard of for the most
Yeah.
part. So,
And they're so yeah, like this is a very eclectic group. You've got Black Knight Killers, like I said, 70 spy spoof treasure hunt movie. And then you got Alone's Enfant, which is a period piece, which is like I think in a yeah, like an Italian period piece starring Marcello Mastroianni. And yeah, so after the fall of Napoleon, the restoration begins. Fulvio, portrayed by Mastroianni, is an aristocrat who has dedicated his life to the revolution, has become disillusioned, and his cowardice keeps him from joining his comrades. Excuse me. As he struggles to manage his evasion and lies, he gets swept up in the suicidal uprising in southern Italy, stunningly photographed with lush period detail and featuring the Taviani brothers' trademark magic realism and absurdist irony. Allons Enfants has Mastroianni on top form as the reluctant insurgent, one of Ennio Morricone's finest scores. Yeah, that's right. Ennio Morricone did the score for this. Radiance Film is proud to present this essential film on Blu-ray for the first time in the world. Yeah, this is a worldwide
the world.
premiere. So this has never been on Blu-ray before. That's why this was so tough to track down. Oh, it's tough. It was tough to track down with English subtitles. I could find it in Italian, but English subtitles be damned.
Yeah.
Um,
So I
eh,
learned Italian.
yeah, so I wish. I told you, I wish I had that superpower where I could just know every language. It would make this so much easier. But yeah, this is a period piece centered around the character of, Mastroianni's Fulvio, and it takes place in this very interesting historical time of after the fall of Napoleon, where for brief historical context here. So you get the French Revolution, you get the rise of Napoleon, and basically that goes from like 1789 to like 1814 or so. That's the Napoleonic and French Revolution time. After that, after Napoleon's defeated, um, they bring the monarchy back in. So it's like, what happens to all of those revolutionary people who've been kicking it for like the last 20 years or so? This movie kind of shows like what do they do? They become disillusioned with the idea of revolution, or they just find other revolutions to get involved in. so that's what they do. So that's kind of what Mastroianni's character does, but he does so reluctantly, and he kind of tries to like backstab his other revolutionary comrades along the way. It's very interesting period piece film. Marcello Mastroianni is a great actor, stunningly handsome man on screen. So of course you have him with other equally attractive women in sexual situations and whatnot to kind of really entice the viewers and all that kind of stuff. But a very interesting, lush, beautiful period piece of a film, which is I think gonna look amazing on Blu-ray. That's what I'm most excited about, is seeing how good this is going to look, because getting a new 2K restoration from the original camera negative. So it's in the almost same time frame as like a Barry Lyndon. Like it's that type of era of European history. Trust me, I could go down a whole European history track of that time frame and
Woo.
what's going on, but I won't do it for Steven's sake. Um,
Yes, please don't.
yeah,
I will
but yeah,
I will fall asleep. Sorry.
it's very fascinating. Your
No,
brain
I
your
like
brain's
it.
been a mess.
I like history, but not at 11, close to 11 o'clock at night. No,
Yeah, I feel you. I feel
yeah,
you. So,
yeah.
so let's move on now to "By a Man's Face Shall You Know Him." Very poetic. I think that's based on a poem, to be honest. So now we're back to Asian cinema. So the description they have here: a community struggles against immigrant gangs in the ruins of post-war Tokyo. Only Dr. Amaya, real life ex Yakuza Noboru Ando can save them, but he had enough fighting in the war. His pacifism is severely tested by the gang's increasingly outrageous taunts, and when his neighbors decide to take matters into their own hands, Amaya is forced to take action. The
Tell me this is good because this looks good.
the consequences proved to be much more far reaching than he could ever foresee. With a story spread across three time periods, Teikato's ambitious revision of the Yakuza movie was one of the first films to tackle the taboo subject of Japanese Korean nationals, greatly influenced later directors such as Kinji Fukasaku and Takashi Miike, a name many people may know of. But yeah, this is a very interesting and good film. Like I said, it is tackling a lot, specifically a lot going on at in the time period that it is discussing. Post-war Japan. What does that look like? What is the relationship between Korean people, and Japanese people is a big theme in the movie, especially with kind of broad sense of like stereotyping and all that kind of stuff. Yet again, a lot of history needs to go into this film to kind of get
Yeah.
it, like specifically cultural history of like the oppression of the Korean people and all of that stuff. And Japan's relation to the nations around them. Yeah, really good film dealing with a lot of very interesting themes. I would once again, this is another film I'm curious to see how good it's going to look on Blu-ray. It's something I definitely want to revisit because I watched it, but I watched it, in a quality that wasn't so great with subtitles that were probably not the most reliable. As it says right here, it says newly translated English subtitles. So if anything, they'll be better. Yeah, this is a good movie. It's a very interesting, good movie. Um, that I actually want to give it a rewatch when this comes out. But these are all coming out in February, I believe. February 26th, I think, is the date on all of these. What is interesting is, Steven, I don't know if you got the Radiance email of these announcements, but they called them the January announcements, and I don't know if that was like a misprint or a miss
Hmm.
like Noma or something. But no, these are coming out in February because we already got the January stuff that we've
Yeah.
talked about already. But yeah, that's Radiance. Yet again, another three films from like obscurity that Radiance is really bringing to light, and that's kind of what their thing is for the most part. I mean, I was just looking at the stacks of Radiance I've got
But
next to me here, and it's
except
like,
for like Miami Blues.
yeah, ironically, as I got Miami Blues recently.
Yeah. It's like really like out of all the releases so far, I feel like Miami Blues is the one that stands out, and I'm like, oh, look, an Alec Baldwin movie.
Even the Hotspot, just because the Hotspot had already been released by Kino, like
Yeah, but it's still like a
like
very
twice.
obscure Dennis Hopper movie.
Right. But
You
at least
know.
that had like no names in it. Like it had
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, it had Don Johnson, Jennifer Connelly is in it,
I mean,
Virginia Madsen's in it.
Messiah of Evil is kind of like a culty horror
Very
movie,
culty, yeah, very culty.
but it's still very it's kind of unknown. Yeah. Otherwise, it's like a very interesting group of movies so far.
Yeah, even though Dr. Hitchcock was another one that I think I already had was it a Kino release or Olive film, something like that. But
Yeah.
even then, that's kind of like a culty horror film, a little bit off the beaten path.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, shall we go through now? I guess is all that's left the Severin slate of
No, we've got a couple other
okay.
stragglers here, Steven.
Well, you got Kino too, I guess. We
Yeah,
got
we do have Kino, which does have quite a few, but this is another big one, I guess, transitioning, I guess, from one, really awesome label to another awesome label. I'm gonna go with Second Sight
okay.
because they teased us this week. They teased us, and then people got really excited, and it was a movie I had never heard of until I watched it. So Dead Man's Shoes is getting a 20th anniversary 4K Blu-ray apparently. All they teased us was with a picture or a screenshot from the movie, and many people had already known it, and I was left in the dark until I had to
Yeah.
read the comments.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
So that's what it is. So, Dead Man's Shoes is a 2004 film. Yeah, it says it's getting a brand new 4K Blu-ray, and of course a regular Blu-ray edition. Expected to arrive on the market early next year. So we don't really know when. But set in a small, bleak Derbyshire town, after 7 years in the army, Richard returns to find out what happened to his beloved brother Anthony, who latched on to the local drug cartel and became the butt of their cruelty due to his learning difficulties. As Richard begins to take revenge against the gang led by Sonny, and the story of Anthony's life and fate unfolds through flashback and revelations. And the actor who plays Richard is Patty Considine.
Yeah.
Patty Considine, who is a very good actor,
Oh
in
yeah.
my opinion. Um, he was in. Oh man, Steven, what was he in? I know
Thanks.
he was one of the police officers in. Oh, what's that Edgar Wright film?
World's End.
No, 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 no. The one
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz. Yes, he was one of the police officers in that, but he's been in many films over the years. Really great British actor,
And
uh, and he's
and
really good in this movie.
oh, he's great. And his brother's played by Toby
Toby
Kebbell.
Kebbell.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't know
Yeah.
Toby Kebbell was acting in 2004, but apparently he was.
Yeah, he's youthful.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. He was in The World's End as well. Um, but yeah, he was in House of the Dragon, the
Yeah.
recent Game of Thrones spinoff, which I thought he was amazing in that. I know that's a little more recent, and he's done way more than that. But yeah, he's been in a um, ton of stuff. He was in. I'm gonna say this. I don't know if it's gonna be the hottest take
Shit.
I've done in a while.
What is this?
You know how much I love the Macbeth film with Michael Fassbender.
You do. I don't know why,
Like I
but go
love
ahead.
that movie.
I don't know why.
He played Banquo in that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Justin Kurzel film. I don't know. I just really love that movie. I could go on a whole rant as to why I love it, but I really do.
It's fine.
Um,
It's weird, but okay.
yeah, it's just what a magical art house avant-garde version of Macbeth,
Yeah.
starring just really great actors in really beautiful filmmaking. But he is in that film as Banquo, who was, like Macbeth's like best friend who he betrayed. But yeah, so that's Patty Considine. Steven, have you seen this movie? Just out of
I
curiosity, Dead
did
Man's
watch it.
Shoes.
I did watch it.
Oh, good. So we
Yeah.
can rap about it a little
Discuss it a
bit.
second
What
here.
did you think of it?
Thought it was pretty solid. I liked it a lot. It was it's a very simple story, but it's very much about it's a kind of a psychological movie with that kind of like the thriller element of a kind of a revenge story. Very simple movie, but it's I think it very very much kind of entrenches you in vibes of the location that you're in. Like this is an Irish film, I believe. So it's very much you're in kind of like the Irish kind of slums in a way, like are kind of suburb. It's kind of it's a poor area, definitely.
It's like a very small dead end town.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
like the Midwest for America. Like it's like.
But what is interesting is that the film is incredibly focused on the plot at hand. Like you
Yeah.
don't get a sense of
Place.
like anything else going on in this town. Like it's just about this person getting revenge.
Yeah, and there's like no police at all. Like
Yeah, there's really no. Yeah, you don't get a sense of like, are the drug cartels like? Do they have the police in their back pocket so they can do whatever they want?
It's almost like it's the Wild West. It's like
yeah. And it's like, and they're very street level thugs. Like we're not talking like big boss man sitting in a big lazy like leather chair with a suit on type of boss we got here. This is like street level guys, just like working corners and stuff, and like working in like abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
But the movie's very dark, very gritty, low budget, like super low budget, dealing with actors who a couple of them were like, this was their first movie that they were in. A couple of the drug cartel guys, the drug guys.
Kind of made me think about you'll remember the name before I do, but kind of like the most recent director did Blue Ruin and
Oh yeah, Jeremy Saulnier.
Yeah, Saulnier. It's got that Saulnier, like Saulnier salt.
That
It
type
was
of level of grittiness.
grittiness, and then that. I
Mm,
mean, Blue Ruin is a great example. It's a very similar storyline too. Like a revenge story, except that one is played differently because the main character is different.
mm. But
He's
it does play on the same vibes that, going down the path of revenge is a dark and lonely and, you know, difficult path. Like there's consequences to getting your revenge. I noticed that in a lot of revenge films,
yeah. Well,
like especially more serious ones.
even in this film, where like I just said, like it doesn't seem like there's any like police or anything, but by the end of the movie, you understand consequences
Mm,
very well,
very much so.
of this whole situation, in many different ways. And I think that there, I wouldn't say there's a twist in the movie. It's a little bit of a reveal more than a twist, but it kind of.
Yeah, I didn't want to say
Well,
anything.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's. I'm not gonna say exactly what it is, but it's like it really changes the perspective of the whole thing too. There's
Mm.
perspective change in the movie that really
Yeah, it's a
makes
very
the.
stylized film too, especially the way the flashbacks are shot
Yeah,
with kind of a washed out, fade out feeling, like hectic, jerky
makes me think of
editing.
American History X.
Mm,
Not quite the same type of like movement style. It's very dreamlike in this movie, but like the idea of seeing the flashbacks black and white, even though it's a more modern film, kind of like yeah. But yeah, it's a bleak movie, and but it's good. It's a solidly acted, simple revenge movie, and it's good.
very good.
I like Irish films too. Irish films, Australian films. When it comes to crime films, they know how to do good crime stuff. So
Yeah, and like we said, a lot of people really buzzing about this release. Um, Super excited about it.
yeah,
And I guess now Steven and I are also very excited about it
I'm
as
on
well.
board. Yep.
I'm curious what the artwork's gonna be, if they're gonna utilize that red and black, probably, that they've got the
I don't know.
mock-ups
That
they've
would
got
look
here.
really similar to the Ginger Snap set that just came out.
Very true. I'll tell you, red, black, and white seems to be Second Sight's go-to color palette, because
Well, they already.
I'm looking at Martin and I'm looking at the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they're both, like, white and red.
Yeah, they went through a phase with black too, where it's like the
Mm.
witch is like almost all black and white, and then like Babadook is like all black and white. Like,
Isn't
and then
It Follows, isn't that
It
all black as
Follows is
well?
all black with like the image,
I think,
like
what's the one with Eric Bana that they just put out as well?
Chopper.
Chopper, I think isn't that all black as
No,
well?
it's like a green or a
Oh, okay.
bluish green color. Yeah,
Yeah,
teal.
I gotta catch up on some of these Second Sight releases. I think that's what I'm gonna try to do when the, Christmas is coming around. But these sell out quick, so I don't know if they're gonna last the rest of the year. But so we will see. We shall
We'll
see.
see.
But let's move on from there. So that's Dead Man's Shoes. Let's move on to something that actually came out last week or was announced last week, and we just, I think, forgot to talk about it. Um, I didn't know that this was the thing, to be honest. So from Carlotta Films, which is a US label that we don't really talk much about, we've only heard about them vaguely. Um, they're coming out with a Jean Moreau filmmaker box set or collection of 3 films. Now, Jean Moreau, you may be wondering, wow, that name sounds familiar. Yes, the same actress, Jean Moreau, was
Yeah.
also a filmmaker as well, which blew my mind because I didn't know that that was true. So Jean Moreau, she was in Jules and Jim. She was in um, Elevator to
He's
the Gallows. I think she was in. Was she in? No, she wasn't in L'Eclisse. Maybe she was. But you know who she was. Who you know who she is based off of. If you've seen French cinema in the '60s.
yeah.
So she directed a couple of films, and this box set highlights a few of them. And the 3 of them are Lumiere, the Adolescent, and Lillian Gish. So Lumiere, which is the same character name of the lamp in Beauty and the Beast, coincidentally. Uh,
Uh-huh.
so 4 actors' friends, Sarah, Laura, Julianne, and Caroline, talk about their emotional and professional paths. They live intensely and deal with different concerns, both as women and as actresses. Their strong bond is embodied in the central figure of Sarah, the oldest and most famous of them. Interesting. So the adolescent, it says July 14th, 1939. Marie has just turned 12, and as she does every year, she's about to go on holiday to her paternal grandmother's house in central France. She is thrilled to see her beloved grandma and the children of the village. Marie also meets the new country doctor and begins to experience a previously unknown feeling. The young girl gradually leaves childhood behind while the shadow of war soon looms over her. These are very ambiguous almost half synopses here. They don't really
Yeah.
tell you anything. So, last one here, Lillian Gish. A tribute to Lillian Gish by Jean Moreau, where one actress pays homage to another. The American silent film star looks on her career since her debut in 1913 and evokes the filming conditions when she was a child, the first Hollywood blockbuster, Birth of a Nation, by D.W. Griffith, and her passion for cinema guided by an insatiable curiosity. Um, all of these descriptions end with those dots, like dot dot dot, which makes you lead to believe that there's more to be said, but there isn't. So these just end. Um, so Lumia and the Adolescent are getting 4K restorations, and then Lillian Gish is getting an HD restoration. There is a trailer here announcing this. This is a fabulous set that they've got here. Um, I'm certainly interested in it just because I'm a fan of Jean Moreau. Um, yeah, so
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
curious about it.
it's definitely obviously late in her career. I think that's why it gets overlooked that she did some filmmaking, she did some directing. Um,
Yes, that's very true. I think these are
they're all in the 70s and 80s.
yes. Like, I think the
70s.
last one, like, Lillian Gish is from, like, 1983 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
This is coming out January 23rd for anyone interested. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, so let's move on from there.
Kino?
Kino, there you are, there you are. So we got some upcoming titles from Kino. One here is very interesting that I want to point out, but I'll get to it when I get to it. First up here is the movie called "Has Anybody Seen My Gal?" A question I often ask myself as a single
My
man in his
gal.
30s. Yeah, has anybody seen my gal? Starring Piper Laurie, Rock Hudson, Charles Coburn, and Gigi Perot. And this is directed by the one and only Douglas Sirk. So I got to get this for my Douglas Sirk collection. Just got to
Haha.
have it.
I feel like in your mind you look like the guy in the top left corner. He's got like his hand up and he's like, ha ha.
Charles Coburn?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
at no point in this film does he make that look. Does
It
he look like that?
it is a frightening face
What
that
is
he's
very
making.
interesting about this movie, about this cover here, is it's not quite indicative of the film. Like, it makes it look like a big, happy, fun film, which it is for a little bit here and there, but it does dealing with some more serious things, but things that, like, aren't people, like, dancing. You know what I mean? Like, not
Yeah.
dance-worthy things. So, the premise of the movie is I believe this is based off of a play or some previous story set in 1928. So the character of Charles Coburn, Samuel Fulton, he is trying to find out who he wants to leave his fortune to, and apparently he has no family. So he's decided that he's going to leave it to the family of the woman that he loved once upon a time, like the love of his life who got away. You know what I mean? And coincidentally, it's because that she got away is what gave him the inspiration to do whatever he did to make his fortune. I forgot what business he got into, but anywho, he's a super super uber rich guy, and he wants to give this money to this family. But before he does that, he wants to go there and basically scout them out to see if they're worthy of owning his fortune. So he's going to go there, pose himself with a fake name as a boarder who's looking for a room to rent, and he's basically going to like scout the family out and see what type of people they are and what will that money do to their lives and whatnot. So he does that, and they're like a regular family with like, a mom, a dad, I think 2 kids and a dog, the typical family of that time. The mother is kind of a money grubbing fiend of a person where she wants the daughter to marry this this boy who she's not in love with, but his family is rich. You know what I mean? Like the richest family in town. She keeps pushing her daughter to marry this boy that is kind of an asshole, and she doesn't really love him. Who she does love happens to be portrayed by Rock Hudson, who is kind of like the regular boy in town who works at her dad's um like store, like general store. But of course the mother doesn't want that. The mother wants the money, you know. She's basically trying to live vicariously through your child because she married for love, and she's now living under not poor situation, not poor squalor, but not where she wants to be in life. And the dad's kind of like a hardworking regular guy who owns like a small local business. So Charles Coburn is trying to observe all this. They have a young precocious daughter who seemed to be all the rage at the time in these types of movies. There's always a young sibling who's like a super smartass, and
Yeah.
this, and so she and Charles Coburn get along right away. So he investigates this family, and he decides to give them $100,000, which, of course, at the time it
Like
might as well be a
that's like a
million.
I was gonna say it's like $1 million then.
Yeah, so and basically just to see what happens, how they use it, what they use it on, and all this kind of stuff, and kind of test them out. And of course, the whole theme of the movie is that like money is not everything. Money is not the great thing that you think it is. It's not going to give you the happiness that you want. It's going to create more problems than it's going to solve. All this kind of stuff goes on. So it's a really, it's a fun Douglas Sirk movie. With the thematic life lesson and stuff like that, with great actors in it. Um, entertaining if anything.
All right.
So that's what's the name of the movie, Steven? Has anybody seen My Gal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Has anybody seen My
All
Gal?
right,
Which is
send my gal.
what an odd title. Yeah, this movie's coming out January 9th, due 2K scan from 35 millimeter into positive. It's Douglas Sirk. I would recommend watching anything Douglas Sirk. But next up on the docket, we've got a rather different film, and this is The Road to Hong Kong. This is also coming out January 9th. This came out in 1962, starring Bing Crosby, Bob Hope, and Joan Collins. And this is the last of the Bing Crosby and Bob Hope like road movies or road comedy movies. And it's about as wacky as you would think. So it's the seventh and final road movie from the irresistibly charming and wacky duo of like I said, Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Cavorting through a series of madcap adventures with Joan Collins, Robert Morley, and road queen Dorothy Lamour. Dorothy Lamour is only in one scene in this movie, so don't everybody go crazy now. As well as scene stealers Peter Sellers, Frank
Ah.
Sinatra, and Dean Martin.
Ah.
David Niven's in one scene. They're really overselling this here. Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin are only in the very end of this movie, and they're in one scene for about a minute. Peter Sellers is in one scene where he plays an Indian doctor, and by Indian doctor I mean someone from India, and it is about as complicated a scene as one would imagine. it's
Hmm.
it's Peter Sellers in doing an impression of an Indian person. It's not PC by modern standards, to say the least. Um, so let's see, where was I? Yes. Uh, Let's see. In what may be the wildest entry in their legendary film series, from Singapore to Bali, vaudevillians Harry, portrayed by Bing Crosby, and Chester, portrayed by Bob Hope, travel to Tibet to search for a drug to restore Chester's memory. Once they find the cure, Chester's memory becomes so good that he accidentally memorizes a secret formula for space navigation. Yeah, it's a little wild. Soon the two meet up with beautiful spy Joan Collins and get slightly sidetracked to another planet. That's not really what happens. That's not really what happens at all. So basically, what happens is Bing Crosby and Bob Hope play these two vaudevillian actors, entertainers, and they do an act where uh, Bob Hope like hits his head and loses his memory, gets amnesia. So they go to this Indian doctor portrayed by Peter Sellers, who tells them they need to go to this monastery in Tibet in the mountains to get this special tea that will restore his memory. But what it also does is kind of give him like super brain powers that he can memorize things now, and he accidentally memorizes this formula for this rocket that can send people to space from this Russian secret group, Russian secret spy group Joan Collins accidentally gives him the paperwork thinking that he's somebody else. Case of mistaken identity. But he memorizes it and then they quickly burn these paperwork. So the only way to get this formula is by Bob Hope's memory. And the Russians want it, and he's having trouble remembering it, so they got to do things to spur his memory. It's a fun, wacky time with inappropriate racism and at points. I mean, it's what you expect it to be. Really, it's a product of its time in every way. Bing Crosby and Bob Hope are funny, have good chemistry. Joan Collins is beautiful on screen, and you get some cameos by some actors you'll know. But yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Um, and then we have a movie called Hell with Heroes. I'll tell you that. Um, yeah, The Hell with Heroes, set in the North Africa and Europe immediately following World War II. The Hell with Heroes centers on the two former U.S. Air Force pilots played by Rod Taylor uh, and Pete Dool. So Bryn Mackley and Mike Brewer are forced to work for the ruthless international smuggler Lee Harris um, to get money needed for their return to civilian life. But when Byrne learns he is flying contraband cigarettes, he extracts a larger fee from Harris, who retaliates by hiding narcotics in Bryn's plane and then reporting him to Colonel Wilson at U.S. counterintelligence. Invasion. Let's see. With Bryn aircraft and money now seized, the beautiful Elena, Harris's mistress, comes to Bryn's aid, featuring a lush score by music legend Quincy Jones, the score for In the Heat of the Night. This post World War II drama is shot through with action, adventure, and romance, courtesy of director Joseph Sargent, who directed White Lightning and The Taking of Pelham 123 and the movie MacArthur. I think all of those have Kino releases. They
Yeah.
do. So looks like a post World War II military action type of film. I did not get to see it, so therefore I don't have much to say on it. This is coming out January 9th. Brand new HD master from 2K scan of the 35mm interpositive. But I'll watch anything really with Rod Taylor in it, so I'll give it. And Claudia Cardinale is stunning on screen. Um, I also
Awesome.
like the tagline. They all had something to sell: courage, sex, corruption. What a tagline!
Okay.
What a tagline! So that's called The Hell with Heroes.
Oh, the hell with it.
The hell with it.
That's
Next
the
up
way
is
I think that's people are saying a lot now with films that come out
yeah, the
today.
superhero films are
Yeah.
taking a little bit of a nosedive
Dude, man.
in the zeitgeist
That
in the
last
popular
Marvel
culture.
movie, the Marvels, didn't do very well.
Very much so. Yeah, a lot of people talking about the state of this comic book superhero films and where it's at and where it's going. Um, it's interesting. The times changed very quickly. I think COVID changed a lot of things, not just culturally, but in so many ways. Like the entertainment business got hit pretty hard. Um, but you know what's also here? A Split Image from 1982. I feel like we talked about this movie before because I've seen it, but I
Yeah.
don't remember it. So this is also coming out January 9th, which is a bit of a theme going on here. Let's see. Split Image is a spirit-stirring story revolving an all-American college athlete, Danny Stetson, portrayed by Michael O'Keefe, who is innocently lured into Homeland, a youth-oriented cult by a compellingly beautiful girl, Karen Allen from Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'll follow Karen Allen anywhere. So
Hey,
I understand.
she's
I
in my
understand.
Christmas. She's in my favorite Christmas movie, Scrooged.
Scrooged? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Um, Harry is programmed by the charismatic leader Neil Kirklander, who is Peter Fonda. Peter Fonda's in this film as well. To believe that his new life, now that the true meaning that it. Well, hold on. This is not making any sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Let's say
you're acting like me here. You're talking.
I am. So the cult leader is charismatic. His name is Neil Kirklander, portrayed by Peter Fonda. And he programmed this boy to believe that the new life now has the true meaning that it previously lacked. Okay. Anguished by their son's disappearance, the Stetsons hire a modern day bounty hunter, Charles Pratt, portrayed by none other than James Woods. Because I know if my child is lost in a cult, I gotta send James Woods after him.
Yes.
Uh, um, and they send him to abduct Danny and exercise his brainwashed mind, deprogramming him to return return him to his family and friends. A truly intense psychological drama directed by suspense master Ted Kotcheff, who directed Billy Two Hats, North Dallas 40, and a little movie called First Blood, featuring Elizabeth Ashley and Brian Dennehy as Danny's parents. Music by Bill Conti, who, guess what? He did the music for Rocky. So
I like Bill Conti.
I know we've talked about this movie before because I saw it and we talked about it, and it's one of those where I guess they announced it once upon a time and it's finally getting some type of announcement release. So yeah, because I remember watching this and I remember the whole the cult thing and all that kind of stuff. The kid being lured by Karen
Yeah.
Allen, um, all that stuff, and then James Woods like trying to get him and reunite him with his family. Of course, when you're dealing with in the real life stuff like this happens where people get caught up in cults and stuff like that, and it's hard to deprogram yourself from it. Really. So the movie's kind of taking that and utilizing it for this plot.
Cool.
So next is the movie that I was talking about where I was going to mention something about. And this is the Barbara Stanwyck and John Lund starring film No Man of Her Own, which says coming soon on Blu-ray. This is already on Blu-ray from Kino themselves. This Blu-ray the is in one of the box sets already, I believe. Or maybe it's a different version of No Man of Her Own. Let me check. Because I may have just overstepped once again, Steven. I like to be cool, and then I'm
Yeah,
not as cool as I think
and
I
then you're
am.
like, well, maybe I'm.
So there is a No Man of Her Own film. Let's see. Yeah, there's a No Man of Her Own film that stars Carol Lombard. That's in the Carol Lombard box set. So yeah. So that's in that box set. It stars Carol Lombard and Clark Gable. But then there's a No Man of Her Own starring Barbara Stanwyck and John Lund, which is what this is. Okay, so that's what got me confused. So basically, don't get confused that this has already been released like I did, because it hasn't. So this is a new film with the same title of No Man of Her Own. Um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's good to point out. Let's see. Let me go back to that. So No Man of Her Own, starring Barbara Stanwyck, John Lund. Oh, they really don't give you a description here. They're gonna make me look this up on IMDb. Of course. See, No Man of Her Own. Now let's see if I can find the right one right off the bat.
It's the 1950s one.
Yes. The first one that comes up is the one from 1932, the one with Carol Lombard. So, a pregnant woman adopts the identity of a railroad crash victim and starts a new life with the woman's wealthy in-laws, but is soon blackmailed by her devious ex. But yeah, it's directed by Mitchell Lyson.
All right. Yeah, and I don't know who Mitchell Lyson is.
Yeah, well, they released a bunch of his films.
I do know the movie Remember the Night. Indicator
Yeah.
put that movie out. Yeah.
Yes. I just want to see if hold on. I want to see if the 1932 No Man of Her Own, not directed by Mitchell Lyson, but the one from 1932, On the Lam, New York card shark marries a small town librarian who thinks he's a businessman. Not the same premise at all. Wow. All right. Just wanted to see if they were actually like if one was a remake of the other, but it doesn't seem to be the case. They just happen to have the same title. But moving on from there, let's see. We've got a movie that I'm pretty sure many people have heard of. If not, make note. Make note. We have The Last Castle, starring Robert Redford, James Gandolfini, Mark Ruffalo, and Delroy Lindo. This is getting a 4K UHD release. This is coming soon. By coming soon, I mean we could get another announcement that when this is coming out in a year from now, for all we know.
Yep.
This is a film directed by Rod Lurie. This was streaming on Netflix for the longest time. I think that's where I watched it actually. It's a prison film. And I know there was a Blu-ray, I think straight from Paramount actually. So this movie came out in 2001, and the premise is a court-martialed general rallies together 1,200 inmates to rise against a corrupt and sadistic warden. Um, yeah, and I believe the general is Robert Redford.
Really? Who would you think it was Mark Ruffalo?
Oh, could have been Gandolfini.
No, you see Gandolfini's face in this. He ain't the general. He's the
I know.
fucking warden.
I don't think he's the I don't think he's the warden. I'm
I
trying to.
believe
I
he's
couldn't
the.
remember who the
He
warden
is
is,
the.
to
He
be
has
honest.
to be the warden. Who else? Who's playing the warden?
I don't remember.
I don't think it's Delroy Lindo. I doubt that. I don't see it, man. It's Gandolfini. He's playing the warden.
I mean, I could look up the plot. Um, it yeah, but have you ever seen this movie, Steven? Just
No,
out of
I
curiosity.
never even heard of it.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
So a few years ago, I was just like, I need to watch more Robert Redford films. So I'm like, what can I possibly
The
watch?
Last Castle.
Yeah, The Last Castle just happened to be streaming, and I was like, oh, I guess I'll watch that. Um, it's let's see, I'm looking up who the warden is. It's not gonna tell me.
Dude, I can just see. Just the poster tells you everything. It's got to be Gandolfini. He's got to be the warden.
Yeah, I have no idea.
You
I don't
need to
want to
let
take
it
more
go.
time.
You need to fucking let it go.
Yeah,
See the movie if you want to know who the warden is.
yeah, exactly. I don't know how we got on this track, but anywho, it's Robert Redford, so it's definitely worth a watch. It's a nice little thriller. I think it's uh yeah, I thought it was based on something. Oh yeah, it's based on Fort Leavenworth actually. Yeah, it's like a military prison. So everybody in there like used to be in the military. And it's like people have been locked up for like insubordination or court-martialed and all kinds of stuff like that. Yeah, it's a nice little prison film essentially. I'm curious what they're going to do in terms of special features because like I said, there was a Last Castle Blu-ray put out a little while ago um by Paramount. Yeah, it was put out in 2021, and it's available for $8 American right now on Amazon. Not exactly expensive, but I'm pretty sure they didn't do anything in terms of like picture quality or stuff like that. I think the only special features on it was an audio commentary from the director, and it looks like some behind the scenes special features, and then an HBO first look. Remember when HBO did like first looks on movies? That seems like something that's long gone now.
Seems I was gonna say seems so long ago.
Yeah, that seems so long ago. But yeah, so that's going to be a nice little upgrade for people, or if people watching it for the first time. But let's see, moving there. What's after the Last Castle? Oh, we're getting a re-release. Here we go. So on January 16th, we're getting a re-release of the um
Hal
I
Ashby
think
film.
the Hal Ashby film Coming Home on Blu-ray. Now, I already own the Blu-ray that Kino has put out already. So what
too.
they're doing with this, like they've done with a couple of the other ones, is they're re-releasing it with the same transfer, but it's going to be on a BD 50 gig disc versus a BD 25 gig disc that they did before.
And
All
you
that
get it.
really does is
Yeah, and you get a little slippy. You get a
and you get a
slippy.
slipcover too. For
I'm
those of
calling them
you,
slippies now.
you call them slippies now.
Yeah,
Nice,
a little slippy
you
with it.
do.
I'm gonna make that the new thing.
Well, you know my thing about slipcovers, especially when I'm at a store.
Slippy.
Slippy. I gotta investigate every single Slippy of the movie I'm buying to make sure I get the one
Yeah,
that's in the best condition. Because I'll tell you this, they have no respect for those things when they put them on the shelves. They have no respect.
No respect for the
None.
slippies.
I was at Best Buy today, and man,
God,
they
they
don't give
spider
a
wrap the fuck
damn,
out of
and
everything.
they don't give a damn.
Dude, there's so many things up there. I was like, oh, I would buy that, but it's spider wrapped. Nope.
They had one copy of John Wick 4 on Blu-ray, and the disc was rattling in it like you wouldn't believe. And the slipcover was also damaged, so it was a double whammy. And I was like, "This is just a damn shame. That's a damn shame."
Turn that slippy into a slappy.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Seriously, it breaks my heart.
Yep.
Yeah, and also going to Best Buy on a Monday is very weird to me. Now, I was in the area, that's why I did it, but
To go
it's
the day before the new
yeah, the day
releases,
before the new releases is like, what
stupid.
a waste of time. What a waste of time.
Just so stupid.
I know, what a
But that whole place is just stupid now
I know,
anyway.
it's really it's a shame. I'm actually I'm lucky I went there last week because last week they actually had some Black Friday sales
Yeah, me
going
too, I
on.
went to. Yeah.
But you went to, yeah, Warner Brothers is the only company, I guess, that's like, they did it for Halloween last month, and they did it again this month at Best Buy, but they only did it for 1 week. So everything that was $10 last week, I know Steven and I, got some stuff, they all went back up to the prices from before, like, basically doubled in price, and I was
Wow.
like, "No, thank you. No, thank you." I'm glad I got my
Yeah.
$10 copy of
Glad I invested, yeah, because it was
glad I got my $10 copy of Creed 3 on
yeah,
4K.
that was, like, my main thing was to go get Creed 3.
Yeah,
Then
I
I ended
also
up getting, like, 6 other things.
yeah, I also ended up getting, like, Enter the Dragon, and then I got Rebel Without a Cause because I
Yeah,
mean, $10, come on now. James Dean.
I get it.
You gotta
Yeah.
get it, gotta get it. But what was I talking about?
You
Yeah,
ain't
so
never gonna get it.
Slippy.
You
Yes,
ain't
the
never
Slippies.
gonna get it. Alright,
I'm dancing now. So,
talking
yeah,
about
so basically what they're doing with, Hal Ashby's great film Coming Home, which is an amazing film
yes.
starring, um, Jane Fonda, Jon Voight, Bruce Dern. If you haven't seen this movie yet, watch it any way you can. It's a really amazing film dealing with, um like, post-Vietnam veterans coming home, hence the title of the movie, Coming Home, but it's done so in a very, very interesting way. Um, they're just re-releasing this and putting it on a much larger, disc with more room on it just to help with the compression, help with the overall picture quality and all that kind of stuff. They've been doing this with a couple of their releases, so nothing new here.
Yeah, and
Um
giving it a Slippy.
And giving it a Slippy. Speaking of Slippies, the next one, The Devil's Brigade, is also coming with a Slippy. This is coming out January 16th. This is
Nice.
another war film. This is a movie from 1968, starring William Holden, Cliff Robertson, and Vince Edwards. Cliff Robertson being, I believe that's Uncle Ben from the Sam Raimi films,
That's him.
if memory serves. It is indeed. And this is a film. I want to see who directed this.
David L. something.
Is it?
I don't know, I'm just making shit up.
Oh, okay. Me too. I think it's Andrew V. McLaglen. Andrew V. McLaglen was one of the last, like, directors making old school westerns in, like, the 60s and 70s. When
Of
everybody
course,
else was making spaghetti westerns,
his name's McLaglen.
he was making the old school westerns with John Wayne, because notoriously John Wayne hated that spaghetti western style from the 60s, and then, of course, the American kind of, American cinema adopted it with, like, The Wild Bunch and, Magnificent Seven and all that kind of
And
stuff.
he did
He
True
wanted
Grit.
his old school
He
stuff.
did True Grit, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
he was
that's
not a man of change, if you will.
True Grit is kind of his
True
spaghetti
Grit
western.
is actually very good. It is the only movie he's won an Oscar for.
Yeah, and it's the movie that kinda pulls him out of the normal western.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
it is a very good movie.
Yeah.
But back to the Devil's Brigade. They were misfits, rebels, heroes, Green Greats William Holden and Cliff Robertson. Topline this riveting World War II saga based on the true story of 1st Special Service Force, capturing the drama of combat with outstanding cinematography. The Devil's Brigade is a thrilling tribute to this renowned fighting unit. Lieutenant Colonel Robert T. Frederick, William Holden, takes on the daunting task of melding a renegade group of American and Canadian recruits into a crack team of commando warriors. Frederick's superiors doubt the rookies until Frederick volunteers them for a perilous attack on a Nazi stronghold in the mountains. His men will be outnumbered and outgunned, but that's a fair fight to the Devil's Brigade. Action veteran Andrew V. McLaglen helms this top-notch adventure yarn with a strong cast including Vince Edwards, Richard Jekyll, Carol O'Connor from All in the Family, Dana Andrews, Michael Rennie, Richard Dawson, Claude Akins, and Harry Carey Jr. Um, yeah,
Well,
sounds very interesting.
you're gonna get this just because William Holden, so
Yeah, Bill Holden is in. I at least want to give it a watch. Um, yeah, it seems like a standard, like a. I don't know if you remember Once Upon a Time. back to Best Buy, they used to have, like, Father's Day standees with,
Yeah.
like, old war movies. This would be there. Like
Yeah.
like like like, they had, like,
There
The
with
Longest Day and, like,
Patton
Iwo
and
Jima and all those
yeah,
kinds of stuff. It's
yeah,
like yeah, and Patton. Be right
yeah,
there with Patton. And, yeah, all of those, John Wayne war movies too, like, they were expendable and things like that. Like, this
yeah,
would be
fucking,
right there with Midway.
Bridge on the River Kwai and
Yeah, Bridge on the River Kwai. We all with those
fucking even,
films.
like, Lawrence of Arabia or
Guns of
something.
Navarone
Yeah.
is another one. They
Fucking
were
every Clint Eastwood movie.
pretty much, yeah,
Fucking
so that
damn,
was
Pale Rider and shit.
oh, yeah, Pale Rider, Hang 'em High,
Yeah,
all of those movies, Outlaw Josie Wales,
yeah.
but I want yeah, Andrew V. McLachlan, he directed, Hellfighters, he directed Wild Geese,
That's a pretty good, John Wayne movie, Hellfighters.
yeah, Hellfighters where he's,
He's a
fights forest
firefighter.
fires.
Yeah,
Yeah, he fights forest fires, which is,
pretty
yeah,
good.
pretty perilous if you ask me. Um, yeah, so, yeah, he also directed, Chisholm, Bandolero, um, Shenandoah, that's the movie that I want to mention. Shenandoah, which is the great Western starring Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart is kind of ruthless in this movie. Um, really good film. So, they actually coincidentally, Kino's put out a Blu-ray of that too. So, and McClintock, what an interesting movie with John Wayne once again. But let's move on from there because I'm going on a whole, um,
Thing.
rabbit whole thing. But
Yeah,
that's it from Kino.
yeah.
And now we can move on to um
Sevron.
Severin. Yes, Severin.
Let's go down the Sevron,
Let's get down in the muck.
the fucking
Yeah.
Sevron cellar, as they call it.
Yes.
They've been announcing one by one each day a new release that's going to be at their Black Friday sale.
Yeah, we
So
covered one last week, number 1, which was The
the
Church.
church, yeah,
And then number 2, Steven, is what?
I believe Cemetery Man was the next one.
Yes. I wanna talk about this movie, but let's announce the others.
Yeah, Cemetery Man, 1994. I believe the next one that was announced was The Dead One, which came out in it's AKA Blood of the Zombie,
Oh, you
1961.
you skipped over one, but okay.
Did I? Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Closed
no,
Circuit,
Closed Circuit.
1978. And then the Dead One, and then the one that was announced, I believe, today is Stir from
Yes.
1980.
So, I do wanna talk about Cemetery Man because it's pretty interesting and pretty entertaining and pretty great. Very similar to a Sam Raimi film.
Okay.
Reminded me a lot of Evil Dead
Okay.
2 and Army of Darkness.
Cool.
In that vein of very weird, darkly comedic, but of course, since it's, you know, the, since actually this came out in '94, goddamn. I was like, since it's an older film, they could do stuff, but also there's, like, sexual stuff happening in it that you wouldn't see in a Sam Raimi film, other than in the first Evil Dead film. But this is way more this is it's very interesting. So, this is a 4K UHD release. It's, I think it's a 4-disc set. It's 4K UHD, 2 Blu-rays, and a CD. This is directed by, Michel Soavi, who I think he also directed The Church as well. So if you get The Church and you get this film, you get 2 of this guy's films. But I wanna make sure to look up the actual, uh, you know, synopsis of the film because it's kind of tough to it's a very, very weird, quirky movie. Um and I want to make sure I get it right. So, zombies, guns, sex, oh my. A cemetery man has the unusual problem of the dead rising from the grave. Himself and his assistant must end these creatures' lives again after they are reborn. Everything is going well until she comes along and stirs things up a bit. So, yeah, this movie is about a cemetery man. It's a guy who works at a cemetery, but what happens is that at night, some of the people come back from the dead, and he's got to re-kill them and rebury them.
Damn it, sounds exhausting.
It very much is exhausting, and all he has to help him is his assistant who um, has certain like mental handicap disabilities and whatnot that's kind of helping him, and it's a very weird, quirky movie um in that regard because like he ends up like falling for a woman and then she dies and he's got to bury her and then she comes back and then he's got to like kill her again. But then what happens is it's a weird movie where like other women will show up and they'll look exactly like her because it's the same actress. So he'll become infatuated all over again. Um, that's an element of the film. There's another element of the film where like you know like how much can he keep doing this all the time and all this kind of stuff and some of the situations are funny, some are tragic, some are weird, some are like he becomes attracted to some of the zombies that come back. Um, yeah, such an odd cacophony of a film. You really have to watch it to experience it for yourself. It's really tough to kind of pin down how odd of a movie this is. But people really love it. Unfortunately, it's not streaming anywhere, which sucks because it's so kind of fun and entertaining. Um, like I said, if you're a Sam Raimi fan and you dig that kind of weird, quirky, dark comedy of the Sam Raimi films, but with like kind of explicit nudity as well, and even more macabre scenarios, like there's this one situation where, like I said, the assistant who has some cognitive disabilities and whatnot, he becomes obsessed with the mayor's daughter, um, and she dies, but she comes back to life, obviously, and he just takes her severed head and, like, carries it around and talks to it. Like, it's absurd humor like
What you do,
that.
man. That's what you do.
It's absurd humor like that. Um, yeah, so that's the type of movie it is. I really dug it. I'm like, this is a really fun Seven
Yeah,
release for me.
you're convincing me. I might take a blind buy on
A
it
blind
maybe.
shot at it. I'm
Yeah.
curious what the price is gonna be on it since it is a 4K UHD. Their 4K UHDs do tend to be rather expensive. I remember
They do, and it is
buying,
4 disc. Yeah.
what did they put out? Blood for Dracula?
Yeah.
That was a very expensive 4K from them.
I'm also I think the first time it got kinda crazy was when they put out Four Flies on Grey Velvet. People were like it was like 70 bucks. It was like
Didn't it sell out though?
oh, it did well, it was
Or it was a
during
hot
it
seller at
that
least.
that that initial 4K was only during the sale, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
they put it back out again, but it didn't have all the bells and whistles, I don't think, so,
Gotcha, gotcha.
but,
But yeah, let me so some of these other films, what's it
Closed
called?
Circuit?
Yeah, Closed Circuit, which I actually also saw as well. Interesting movie. First of all, there's a couple of movies with the title Closed Circuit, but this is the one from 1978. This is the Italian film, directed by Giuliano Montaldo. A man is shot dead in his seat during a matinee screening of a Giuliani Gemma spaghetti western, prompting the police to close off the cinema in an attempt to gather evidence. So that's exactly what the movie is. These people are seeing a spaghetti western at like that, that theater, and someone gets shot in the middle of it, and there's a police investigation. So this whole movie takes place inside of this theater, trying to figure out what happened, who did it, why they did it, all that kind of stuff. But what they do is they kind of keep reenacting the events of the shooting to kind of get a different perspective or to try to get some type of perspective on what happened. It's also really interesting the way they shoot the murder scene is they cut back and forth between the actual spaghetti western film that's playing on the screen and what's happening in the theater, so that because what happens is when like someone gets shot in the movie, the person gets shot in the theater as well, so it's kind of lined up or edited lined up like that, which is a rather cool thing.
Hmm,
um Yet again, this is another film extremely tough to track down to watch, at least watch in good quality with good special features. That oh, not special features, good subtitles.
yeah.
That's the one thing with a lot of these foreign films that I guess we cover on here is the English subtitles are just not great, not great at all. Um, so that's kind of an issue. But yet again, interesting concept. It's an okay film. I don't think it's a particularly great film, but I like the concept of it, and I like the way it was executed and all that stuff. Taking place all in one place is a kind of a cool concept for me. Just the whole murder mystery thing, which is kind of hot right now. The whole murder mystery thing.
Just
I
making a
just
comeback.
I just watched Haunting in Venice, the new Kenneth Branagh Agatha Christie adaptation. Um, interesting, rather interesting. But
Okay.
moving on from there, what's the third? What's the
The
fourth film? The
the
dead
dead
one?
one? That's
Yeah.
the
So the
third one. Yeah.
yeah. So the dead one. Let's see. I
It,
think okay.
it's
Dead one,
the
1961. Yes.
yeah, AKA Blood of the Zombie.
Yeah, I know what a title.
Mm.
So, a voodoo priestess sends out zombies to bring back live victims for her sacrificial rituals. I didn't get to see this, but it sounds very standard. It sounds very. Oh boy, do you know what the rating for this is on IMDb? I know the IMDb ratings are not the end all be all; they're very subjective nonsense.
Well, they're
Uh,
they're very
Three
easily manipulated.
very
Yeah,
easy limited, but it's 3.3 out of 10. Not the
it's not
best rating
mm,
I've ever seen.
not the
Certainly
best.
not the lowest. Um, Also, the clips they're showing from the movie don't raise my confidence in it.
Hmm.
But it wouldn't be Severin without putting out something like this. It really wouldn't
Yeah,
be.
yeah. There's got to be some muck.
Gotta be some muck. So we got some more zombie action here, and then we've got Stir. And now Stir from 1980, because once you put Stir in on IMDb, the first thing to come up is Stir of Echoes, the Kevin Bacon film.
Mm.
I saw
That
Kevin Bacon dancing the other day on his Instagram, doing the whole footloose dance for some.
that's cool.
I think he was doing it because the actor strike is over, and he was like celebrating.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was what it was for.
All right. Well,
Um,
Stir,
but Stir,
1980.
yes, 1980, filmed in the Clare Valley, Gladstone, and the Finders Ranges in South Australia. This prison movie was inspired by a true life prison riot at Bathurst Jail in 1974 and its subsequent royal commission into the New South Wales prisons. Okay, you got me at a prison movie. You got me
And
at
also
Australian film.
and Australian. Yeah, that's what
Australian
got me.
film.
Yeah.
Um, I'm very interested in checking this out. Um, yeah, I unfortunately wasn't able to see this. I think this just got announced today, a
Yeah.
couple of
Yeah.
hours ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, so this would be something brand new. So, are you interested in this, Steven? That's
Oh,
what I
I mean,
want.
I love prison films. They seem like there's not much you can do with them, but really it's about they can be good devices for character pieces, um depending on what the character's gone through to get there. Whether you're thinking of course, Shawshank Redemption's a big one. Something kind of more standard like Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood, or something like was it Birdman from
Yeah,
Alcatraz?
I'll say Birdman of Alcatraz.
Is an amazing
Is it
prison film.
what's that Criterion? Riot in Cell Block
Yeah,
11? Yes. And
yeah.
then there's that other one with Burt Lancaster. Um, what was the name of that movie? That's also um, it's
Other
also a prison movie that's put out by Criterion.
hmm,
My mind is withering away, Steven.
other oh shit. Burt Lancaster, other
The irony
prison
is that
film.
I know I have the Blu-ray and I know it's in the shelf in front of me.
Damn.
Damn, we're gonna
Come on,
be
man.
kicking
Come on,
ourselves right
man.
in the butt. Right in the butt. No, it's not The Swimmer,
Well, I
not
know
The
that.
Train, not 7 Days in May. The Leopard, Judgment of Nuremberg, Birdman of Alcatraz. I'm scrolling down.
Sure it's Burt Lancaster?
This is gonna kill me if I don't get this.
You sure it's Burt Lancaster?
Not Crisscross.
Are you
Oh,
sure?
yes, Brute Force.
Ah,
You
brute
want to know
force.
why it took me forever to get that? It's the second film he starred in. I had to go all the way down his IMDb.
God damn it.
Damn. Yeah, Brute Force, the Jules Dassin film.
Yes.
Great film. Great prison film. Yeah, a tough penitentiary prisoner, Joe Collins, plans to rebel against Captain Munsey, the power mad chief guard. Yeah, and it's got Burt Lancaster, Hume Cronin, Yvonne DeCarlo's in the film. It's yeah, Anne Blythe. It's a great film. So I think it's super short as well, if I remember. Yeah, the movie's hour and 38 minutes, but 1947. Because the movie he had done before this was, I think, The Killer or The Killers. Yeah, The Killers, which was 1946, his first film. So Brute Force was his second.
Nice.
Nice. But yeah, but this is another, like we were saying, Stir is another kind of prison film, and that just seems to be an interesting, theme that they've utilized in movies for a very long time. Like I just said, this prison movie, Brute Force, is from the 1940s. Yeah, that's fascinating. But I think that's it from Severin. I don't know if they got anything else,
That's it.
and I don't know if there's anything else that we want to mention. Um, do you have anything, Steven?
I do not. That's all I got on my board.
Yeah, okay. I just want to make
Mm.
sure we got everything. Yeah, there's that. I'm just scrolling to make sure I got everything. Yes. Yep.
No.
Yeah, we're good. Looks like we're good to
All
go for
right,
right
man.
now.
Well, that is it for this installment of Chasing Labels, Spy number 124. Of course, please go over to our Facebook, join us in the group. Over there, you can chat with other, what were we calling us? Labelers or chasers?
Chasers? Nice.
Yeah, other chasers. In there, you can come drop some comments, do whatever. We don't care. Do whatever we want. We'll let you in. Of course, go over to our Twitter, our Instagram. I run them things. You can reach out to me there. Andrew, where can they reach out to you?
You can find me on Twitter or X at Capzilla06, and then our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels. We are working on, of course, another unwatched pile for this month, which will probably be here sooner than we anticipated because the movie
not
is
next
moving.
week, but the last week.
It'll be here pretty quick.
Somewhere in the last week of November.
Right, and it'll be film noir themed.
Centric.
I did film some footage from my local Barnes and Noble store, which I need to put together. So that should be up this week as well. My usual, going through the shelves, talking about what I got, all that kinds of stuff. So yep, that's what will be up there.
All that jazz.
Nice reference. And Criterion too.
That's why I
well
said
done.
It. I know. I got it all in there. So, but you can find the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening, guys. And hey, keep on watching the movies.
I know I will.